All right, everybody, welcome to Knox Makers. It is Tuesday, and you know what that means. It means we're going to have our show and share. We've been doing it for many, many years now, rain or shine, holiday or not. We have a sign-up list that people sign up as they come in to show off the projects they're working on, so we're going to go ahead and get started with that. The first one up is Tony, who's going to show us a table. Tony and friends.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Can't believe I'm doing this. I'm so nervous. I want to say hi to Rosemary and Tracy's mom, Dodie. And I want to thank Billy Huddleston for his work on the CNC router on it, and Brian Greenhoe for the bow ties. I'm showing off my laminated slab coffee table, and it's almost 6 foot long, about 20 inches wide. Take about, I don't know, month and a half to finish it. So, you know, I don't have no picture. My phone decided to take a plunge in the toilet, so, you know. So I've got a new phone, so, you know.
It's very slick.
It will be out. Huh?
Is that why you tried to steal her phone?
Yeah. Yeah, you helped me, though. No, I actually confessed. Anyway.
So what wood is it?
Huh?
What kind of wood is it?
It's a spotted hackberry. It's got about 10 coats on the top, 3 coats on the bottom. So, got any questions?
How heavy is it?
Huh?
How heavy is it?
I'm glad there's two of us.
So, nice. It's nice and strong. I've sat on it, and Bill has sat on it too. So,
No,
no, not together. No. And
little one. It's got-
yes, it's a coffee table. It's a big coffee table, and so you know, and so.
Do you have to use a coaster with it?
I don't know. We'll find out, I guess. We'll find out. We'll find out. I'll let you know. So, it's, you know, any other questions?
Does it reach all the way to the end of the sofa, from one end of the sofa to the other?
Not quite.
Just short. I think
No, not
Wes had a
quite.
question way in the back.
Okay.
We see the legs.
Okay,
Yeah,
legs.
they're hairpin legs. These ones are brushed nickel, not black.
Will it set on carpet? Or
No, or parquet, solid oak.
solid?
Yep. Yes.
What sort of wood is it?
Spotted hackberry.
I'm sorry?
Spotted hackberry.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Thankfully, no. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. I think that was your first share, right? All right. Are you next up? Wait, are you Cheris? Karis? I'm sorry.
Oh, my name's not even on the list. I was on the
I'll let you
A
sign it
list.
in a second. All right, Karis with a very good bird painting. Very fun.
This is my bird painting I made this bird painting on January 31st. I was looking at another picture of a bird painting, but they don't look exactly the same.
What kind of paint?
I painted it with watercolor. I don't know how long it took me.
Is it on paper?
It's on watercolor paper. It's thicker, so the watercolor doesn't like soak in and bleed through it.
Is this your first painting or have you been practicing along?
This is not my first painting, but I wouldn't say I do it all the time, but I do it more frequently than other paints.
Do they have names?
What?
Names.
Names? Oh no, I did not name the birds.
All right, next up is Aaron with some things that spin and fly.
So I got a few different things here that I wanted to show. They're all kind of sort of related. This is all 3D printed. This is a like a spinner toy. So, you know, like the little propeller spinners you hold in your hand, you go like that and they go a few feet in the air and then that's it. This is now I didn't design the gearbox or anything. This was on printables, but it's been taken down. So I don't know why the original designer took it down, but it's not available anymore. But it's a planetary gearbox. So when you pull on this, it spins at about 30,000 RPMs. So this thing will get spinning pretty fast. So the default design, oh yes, sure. There's a gearbox. You can see the planet gears in there, and then the ring gear on the outside. And then there's a little slot right here that you can put the rack gear, and then I don't know if you can't really see the pinion down in there, but there's a little pinion gear that drives the carrier for the planets, and then the multiplies the speed. I experimented with a few different spinner designs, so I used the default one that they had that was kind of similar to this, except the blade angles are at like 45 degrees. So it would go up about 50 feet or so. I'm like, I think I can increase the mass of the rim and decrease the angle of attack on the blade. And this one is kind of where I did like 5 or 6 different designs. This one is where I landed for the maximum altitude. So I can get this one to go about 80 feet or so straight up. So on a calm day, it'll just shoot straight up and come right back down. And it'll, comes down nice and slow as it's losing speed. So I can play with the mass of the rim to increase the energy stored from the rotation. And then that's at the expense of acceleration, driving it up to that speed initially. And then this was another spinner design that was where I decreased the angle of attack quite a bit more. So the overhangs on this are like, this is only like 10 degrees angle of attack. So there's about 89% of the previous layers unsupported. So you can do this with 3D printing when you're going between two surfaces. So it's called bridging. So if you have enough cooling and with the right materials, you can get away with some pretty crazy overhangs and it still come out nice. And this one you can see has a thicker rim. So there's more mass there. And the goal of this design wasn't altitude, it was distance. So by lowering the angle of attack and increasing the mass of the rim, this one will go up about 30 feet or so and then fly off in the distance. And because of the gyro drift, it'll create like a big circle. So if you launch it at just the right angle, you can kind of like boomerang it back and make it come back to where it launched from. Another design change I made from the baseline was this. This was the original like pull, and you can see right here my design. I added some fillets in there to reduce the stress. So the first few of these I printed after 10 uses or so, they would just break right at the joint because it's just a sharp corner there, so it creates a weak point. So this one, after I did this, it solved that problem and it doesn't break anymore. The other thing was this was designed to be printed horizontally like this on a small print bed. So I was able to make it a little bit longer so I can get, additional acceleration into the spinner by printing it, at a 45-degree angle so I can increase the length of the rack. And then the last small change I did from instead of just using this dry as printed, I put a little bit of grease on the gears for some hydrodynamic lubrication, and that reduces the friction and you can really get it spinning fast. And then the other one I wanted to show that's kind of related is the Frisbee. So this is, let me get all this out of the way here. And I won't go into extreme detail on this, but long story short, kids decided they wanted a Frisbee next. So I'm like, well, I can 3D print a Frisbee, but first I wanted to figure out why is a Frisbee the way that it is? Well, 5 minutes of research, I found a 290-page research paper on the Frisbee, which included computational fluid dynamics, wind tunnel testing, a bunch of different profiles. And so anyway, long story short, from that, I was able to develop a parametric, non-dimensionalized model, and then use that in FreeCAD to generate any size, shape of Frisbee that you could possibly want. And one interesting thing about the Frisbee is, like an aircraft, the center of gravity is always in front of the center of pressure. So in stable flight, that pulls the nose down. That's a stable configuration. With this type of disc airfoil shape, the center of pressure is in front of the center of gravity. So this thing, if you were to just throw it in a straight line without any spinning, it would just tumble over end like that. So the mass of the rim spinning gives you gyroscopic stability and stabilizes it, so it can only fly if it's spinning. So I thought that was kind of an interesting thing to note. And then I don't know if you've ever noticed these ridges on the top of a Frisbee. What that does, and this was something I added in addition to what they were doing in the research paper. These trip the boundary layer. So the boundary layer is, as the flow is moving over the surface, you have a laminar zone, and then at some point the flow starts to separate and you get these eddies and vortices and forms a turbulent region. So by putting these on here, that effectively, it's called tripping the boundary layer. You do that at a controlled point along the profile so that you get more consistent, predictable performance, because you don't know like what the air around the Frisbee is when you're going to throw it. Like there's going to be some turbulence and some on a windy day, let's say, versus a calm day. So that it also helps with higher angles of attack. So what happens if you tip a wing up to a high angle of attack, the flow starts to separate and it'll stall. So if you trip the boundary layer at a certain point, you can keep the flow attached longer and have a repeatable stall point. So that's what those are for. All right. Any questions? I didn't read every single page. I read all the synthesis of the model, like how they got to their end result. But there was a lot of stuff in the middle. I just skimmed. Yes.
It looks like your research might be really applicable to Frisbee golf. Have you
Yeah.
looked into that?
There's a whole nother rabbit hole down that I haven't been down on that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So 2 questions. The first one is on not the Frisbee, but the spinning
Mm-hmm.
propeller model. where you've got the overhangs, have you thought about doing like a multi-piece so that you don't have that stair step effect of affecting, like, creating turbulent air under it?
What I'm thinking about doing next with this is changing the angle of attack right now it's just one constant angle. But when you think about it out here towards the outside edge, it's moving at a faster velocity. Angular velocity is the same, but the relative speed is higher. So as you move inward, that relative speed right at the hub is very low. So you would actually get a little bit more lift if it has a steeper angle of attack at the root of the blade and a shallower as you move radially outward. You see that on a lot of like propellers and like fan blades on a turbofan engine where the root is almost vertical and then the tips are nearly flat.
And then how's the layer adhesion on the Frisbee? If you hook the thing into a wall, does it turn into like 3 rings?
Well, I've hit a tree with it and a fence, and so far so good. Yeah. Oh yes. So my kids have nicknamed the 2 spinners. So this one they call Nimbus because it goes really high. On this one they named Miles because it goes for miles and miles. Oh, and then my 8-year-old made this. I don't know anything about any of this stuff, but I was super proud of her that she did this by herself without any help. And I don't know, I can't answer any questions about it, and she didn't want to present it, but I was proud of her.
Love it. All right. Let's see. Next is Eric, number 1 for dryer shelf.
Hello, Makerspace. Hello, Internet. Let's see here. So, Allison, the wife, said she grew up with the dryer elevated on a platform. And she said the ergonomics of that was fantastic and that she wished that we had something like that. So I said, hey, I could build that. And so the design was something like that. And then that was my idea, to bring it up a foot so that you're not bending over as far when you're moving the clothes from the washer to the dryer. And then this is the built implementation of that. And it's just 2x6s and 2x4s and plywood. And you can see how it has a slot there, so you can just, with help, team lift, you can pick up your dryer with a friend or 2 and pick it up a foot off the ground and slide it right into your platform. And then washing clothes is easier to do. So, ergonomics, good. Questions?
How long did it take?
Well, if you cut everything the right length the first time, it doesn't take long at all. It did not take long. It didn't take that long. It was a short afternoon, really, cutting the. Going through, it probably took me as long to go through my wood stores to find proper building items to cut and then assemble them with deck screws, which is my favorite way to put things together, because then I can take them apart again and use them for other things if it didn't turn out right, or I want to use it for something else, want to make it bigger or smaller. So, anything else? Questions? Answers? Thank you.
All right. Also, a different Eric has a Horus statue.
Hey, everybody. So I noticed really recently that the Met actually has some of their stuff. So you can, this is actually a statue of Horus as a falcon protecting. What's that? No. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so the Met, the museum in New York, has a bunch of their models. They have 3D scanned a bunch of different things and actually put them on their website. So I found you can find the 3D model and move it around, and it's kind of cool to be able to see it and mess with it. But I have a 3D printer, and so when you have a 3D printer, you find things to 3D print. So I was able to download the file and actually 3D print my own little, I guess 20% scale or so model of this statue of Horus. So I won't take up too much time, but if anybody wants to see it later, you're welcome to check it out.
How long was that print?
6 hours, 8 hours, I don't know.
And is it one thing versus two sides put together?
Yeah, it's one thing. So I printed it with a few supports, but I tried to pick something that overall wouldn't need to have too many supports. So it printed pretty cleanly as is.
What 3D file format did the Met make it available, and was that useful to you?
Oh yeah, so the file was, I want to say it was a GLB. Don't quote me on that. I just kind of figured out how to do it. So I did have to do a little bit of cleanup. I put it into Blender. So it wasn't super high resolution, but they have, it's called a normal map where it's the texture of the piece. So I used the image texture of the piece to actually add a little bit more detail back to the 3D model. And then I was able to use just Blender to export it as an STL and then print it from there. Sorry.
Were there any others that really caught your eye that you might want to print in the future?
Potentially, but I have too many hobbies, so. Yeah.
Now, in Blender, would you have to make sure that the mesh is watertight in order for it to print correctly?
Yes, yeah. So there was a tool that just cleaned that up for me, so I didn't have to think too much about it. That was nice.
That,
So
like an add-on, or?
I'm not sure. Whenever I went to do it, it was just there and worked out pretty well. I'm definitely not an expert at Blender, so hard to say for that. Well, thank you guys.
Thank you. Next up, PC Rob stole Billy's laptop.
So Billy came to me, and if Billy comes to you, you have to pay attention. and he was having a problem with his laptop. This one port wasn't working correctly, so he bought a new adapter, and he asked if I could do the soldering for him. So that's the inside of his laptop, and down here is the part that needed to be replaced. It's actually underneath this little shield. And so to remove it, you have to do what's called reflowing. So what I have to do is protect the laptop, because I'm about to apply a whole lot of heat, hot air, to liquefy the solder that's on the part that's there now so that I can lift it out. So this is my normal technique. You can see It's a combination of aluminum foil and what's called Kapton tape. It's a very high temperature tape. And what I do is I cover everything and then use a X-Acto knife to cut out the area that I want, because I don't want any other parts. The laptop edges are here. You don't want those to melt and things like that. So the aluminum foil plus Kapton helps hold it down, and the aluminum foil dissipates all the heat. And so that's a picture of the part removed now. So I've taken the part off. There's our scale, right? There's the edge of a quarter. So these pins, now this is, I've removed the part and then cleaned up the pins so that you can do it. One of the things that caught me off guard and I didn't notice until after I pulled it and then I re-looked at the part Billy gave me is there's 2 rows of pins you can see here. This one row of pins is accessible from the outside. The other is under the part. So you can't see them, and also may or may not work. The other thing I had to do is use a drill bit to clean out these holes in here, right? You can see there's solder still inside that little hole there. So the problem is that when I pull the part out, the solder's kind of left behind, and you have to get that solder out of there, because when I go to put the new piece in, it won't sit flat if there's solder in there. So I have to take the solder out, and normally you can use what's called the solder wick or solder suction. The problem is these are so small that I can't get down inside of them. So I actually had to drill out those holes to remove the solder that was left inside. So this is 0.33 millimeters is the size. And so I laid one across a quarter so you can get a feeling for. And when you spin something, this is a carbide bit, when you spin something that fast and you have to hold it by hand, they break. So, but luckily I only broke one. And so I broke one and then put another one in and was able to finish drilling them out. You can also see, forgot to show you, you can see here, the width across that is 1 drill bit width. So that width right in here is the width of that drill bit, or 0.33. And it gives you a rough idea on how small these are. These are probably 0.2 millimeters in size. So this is all microscope work, magnification work. I already showed you that one. So I did this. I'd love to tell you I did it one time, it worked, and handed it back to Billy. Everything worked fine. No, it doesn't work that way. So first time I did it, I pasted everything up. I don't have what's called a stencil for this part, so I had to sort of wing the paste, put it all back together again, and Billy's laptop didn't turn on. So that was not a good thing. I mentioned to Billy, it's not turning on. The fan comes on, it spins up, and then it just powers off. And I was like, okay, that's not good. So I had to pull the part back off again. And I'm not showing you those pictures, but underneath the part, see, I can see the top part, the top pins, but I can't see underneath it. 2 sets of pins had shorted. So the problem was I can't just paste it like this and hope everything works, because I can't see it to prove it. So one of the things I did, actually Billy had found a video, but I'd already thought of doing this. So we had talked on the phone. And what I did is I put paste on the pins, and then I reflowed the paste by itself. Then I cleaned up, so each one of these is a little ball of solder, right? There's a thing called a ball grid array that comes pre-done that way, but it basically puts a little ball of solder on everything. So these are all rounded balls. You can kind of see it in the video, or the picture here, they're a little bit rounded. So now when I press the part up against it, they're sort of spring-loaded onto the solder, so when I heat everything, they just hopefully fall into the solder. And so this is my second attempt cleaning it back up. By the way, I had to take the part, put it in it, clean it up, clean all the flux off of it, ultrasonic cleaner. I mean, there was a bunch of stuff I had to do to get it back up. You can see here the pins have fallen into the solder on this side, the part I can see. The other row of pins are back in here that you can't see. So, you kind of cross your fingers and say, I think they soldered. Then I powered it up, and this was me plugging in his power, and the little light came on so that it says, okay, it's charging. And so I was happy to see that first part. And then that was me booting it up saying, oh, look, it turns on. So that's a good thing. And then this was me sending a picture to Billy to say, I think it's alive, because you can see over here in the corner, the little light is charging. And over here, here's his logon screen up at the top here. So his laptop is alive. I told him the warranty's good until it leaves my house. And as soon as it leaves my house, if it works, hopefully it'll still work. But that was my last one. So that was my little microscopic work I did for Billy's laptop. So, wait, David?
How on earth did you keep the part in place, keep it in alignment without it slipping when you?
So, yeah, so there's a couple of advantages. You can see the holes here, the holes here, and then these holes here. It has some internal pins to do the squaring alignment for you, right? The problem is, what I didn't even talk about, is this little weird thing right here. That's actually a little static shield, an ESD static shield, that's a little bit of foam with, I think, maybe a little bit of metallic foil on it. And the idea is that any static that you bring to the edge of the laptop can be dissipated by this in this area before it ever gets into the part, right? This is springy. So when you push the part down onto here and you let go, it comes right back up again. So that was right off the bat interesting thing. What I figured out, and it did work, is if I push it down and hold it down with tweezers and solder the left and the right piece in place, that now holds it right up against the pins that I want them. And then I can reflow all of this to kind of protecting these to make sure that solder doesn't melt, and it'll reflow just these pieces. So it was held in place with solder effectively. I tried to use a spring clip because I do have spring clips that will hold it. The problem is by the time you're doing all of that and you move slightly, the spring clip goes bang, and it fell on the floor, and I had to go find the part again. And so I said, no, I got to do this a different way. So that's how you keep it in alignment. So.
Any reason you didn't remove the board from the chassis? That would have, I'm assuming the little ESD dissipation thing would have been attached to the chassis.
Correct. That's why. There's a whole lot of stuff going on there, and I need to deal with that one little spot. I didn't want to have to deal with
I see no
it.
problem here.
Yeah. I like to take out as few screws as I can possibly take. Amy?
How long did it take to make that giant cord from scale?
Yeah, it's like a rocking chair, right? It's the giant rocking chair to make it look like it was teeny. Yes?
Are you some kind of like mechanical engineer, or did you just like figure this out?
Oh, I've been doing this a long time. I'm a software person. I do software. But I've been doing, this was a hobby of mine since I was probably your age. And so I've been doing it a long time. Yeah. How long did it take? Yeah.
So do you use hot air for soldering?
Yeah, this had to be, yes, you have to reflow this. As you can see by that, my soldering iron would have been a little big. So
You can't get underneath anyway.
I can't get under, yeah, you can't get to the back side of this, so it's all hot air, yeah, you heat the whole area up. So you want, it's called reflowing. You basically, that's what this sort of picture would show.
So you blow the air on top of the part to get the back ends, or?
Yes, what you're trying to do is flow everything. There's a process to doing a reflow, so you have to heat everything up, right? So I start actually way up here in the air, and I just kind of dance the hot air all the way to get closer and closer, because you're trying to slowly bring the temperature up. If you look at a solder, there's a thing called the solder curve. When you use a reflow oven, there's a curve that says bring it up, then sharp bring it up, then hold it, then bring it down, right? So I do that with the rework station. I bring the temperature up slowly, 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 till I get close enough, and then I hit it hard. You can just watch all that solder goes whoop, and then you hold it, hold it, hold it, and then I told Billy, I held it longer than I would normally hold it because I needed to make sure the underside got soldered. So it was kind of like, if you go too long, you got plastic parts in that thing, and I didn't want to melt them, but.
So are you watching the temperature somehow?
No, I preset my temperature in advance.
But you're bringing it down, right?
Right, because when I'm up here, right, it's a lower temperature. By the time I get close, I'm at full temperature, but I'm not adjusting my reflow temperatures at all. Right, they're just on, right? But that was you can see there's the paste. So you're just putting, that's called a solder paste. It's a blend of emulsions. There's actually micro dots of silver solder that are embedded within this. This evaporates off, and the solder kind of comes together, and it ends up looking like that when it's done. Well, after I do all of this, it all has to get cleaned up, right? I use isopropyl alcohol, get it all cleaned up with Q-tips, yeah, there's a whole process. And I'm not showing you all the pictures in between of the mess that was involved. This is sort of the scale down. Because, yeah, it's definitely very dirty when you're all done doing this, but you got to get it all cleaned up, so. Anything else? Once, twice? Okay, thanks.
So Rob's taking requests if everybody else needs it. Next up is Steve with spalted apple fur turning.
I posted to the woodworking group that I had found some apple trees that had been cut up and set aside for brush pickup in Oak Ridge. And several people asked for some pieces for turning. And there are 6 logs over among the lathe. But if anybody is interested, that is about 3 blocks from my house, and Russell said he could come out with his pickup and pick up some more if anybody is really interested. That was it.
All right. Next up is Bill with an acrylic bear, I think.
When you go in to use Moonraker, one of these little light things are there with a robot in it, and at Christmas time there's a Christmas tree. So I've been intrigued with that, so I decided to try a bear. This is a bear that my wife took the picture of the bear in Cades Cove. A friend of mine does video, photo, that's his job. And so he used GIMP to change it a little bit and get rid of some of the dark and some of the really intense. And then I imported it into Inkscape and then did the conversion over to Moonraker and all that. And somebody left a piece of acrylic in the scrap bucket. Thank you, whoever that was, thank you. And so I'm really happy with how that turned out. The first one I did at a 7% instead of 15. And it was just a whole bunch of little straight lines, and it really, Earl said it looks like a pig. And that's not the effect I was going for. And so this is a bear. Like I said, it's a picture that I took. I'm just really excited about that. And then this is really an expensive endeavor because, one, I'm using Tracy's little box here. So now I had to buy some. And then I'm going to have to buy some acrylic. And so they're on order. They'll be here the day after tomorrow. So we're good. But I have 24 coming. So if anybody wants to try this, let me know. Because I'll probably have some extras lying around. But I also have several grandkids and lots of kids that are like grandkids. So therefore now I'm set for a long time for gifts to give out to. The LED effect with the different lights I think works really well, like for a nightlight for small children. And it just looked really cool. And so Tracy, thank you for teaching me how to do laser cutting on Moonraker. That was a class that I took a long time ago. And I learned something. So that's another plug for the Knox Makers. If you don't know how to do something, somebody here does know how. And you can find them if you look hard enough. So, but this was all done today. So that was done. It's going to focus in here in a second. After the lasering, there was a huge amount of dust, which I didn't know anything about. I've never lasered acrylic. And so now I have white dust all over because you just take it and rub it across your pant leg and it all comes off. And it takes quite a long while for it to wear off your pants too. So it will, my wife's going to be so happy with me.
Is that intentional grass at the bottom?
It is. So the picture of the bear was, we're driving our car, there's a bear right there, click, you've got a fence, you've got the grass, You've just got, it's a bear and he's really close. And so the friend of mine basically cut out the background, but he left a little bit of the grass on the feet so that, you know, it was, I think he was doing it at work, so you can only get away with blowing off work for so long until you get in trouble. And so he kind of did a quick down and dirty, let's do this image really fast. And now I got to invite him over for dinner because now I got to learn how to use GIMP to be able to do this myself. Because I've also have a lot of pictures of waterfalls and other different things of my hiking adventures that I want to start burning on wood or burning on acrylic. I don't know yet. I mean, I can buy some off the shelf. That's not a problem. But since I've used the laser engraver over there, Moonraker, I have never bought anything. I'm a cheap tightwad son of a gun. And there's enough people that throw bits and pieces, and you can always size your whatever you're working on according to what's in the bin. And so that's what I do. So instead of saying, I want to build this 4x6, I go over to the bin and say, oh, here's a 3x5. That'll work. So, well, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Bill. Finally, some laser work. All right, last up on the list, we're going to have Adam come up and show us a first aid update. Yeah.
And here's the part where I screw everything up by plugging in an HDMI cable. All right, where's the plug?
Let's see.
How do I shot web? There we go. Sweet.
That's number 3. Let me switch it here.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it didn't. It does say 3 on there, right?
In 3, yeah. Maybe I can make sure I'm actually showing it. That could work too. Is that? All right, well, that's close enough. I think if I do this, yay! All right. Okay, so for those who don't know me, my name is Adam. I am the safety and first aid ambassador for Knox Makers. My wife is sitting over there. She is the deputy for first aid, so she assisted with this a lot. So I can't claim all of the credit for this. She contributed probably more work than I did. But we have completely revamped all 3 of the first aid kits here at Knox Makers. So I'm just going to dive straight into it. Our primary first aid kit, which we have right over here in the Arts and Crafts Zone, has been reworked so that now we have it divided into 2 sections. We have our convenience supplies on the left and then emergency kits on the right. So the idea behind the emergency kits is that if somebody's here and they injure themselves, whether they've got to go get the supplies themselves or somebody else has to go get the first aid supplies, nobody wants to stand there in front of the kit trying to figure out what supplies they're going to need for whatever happened. If somebody's lacerated their arm really badly in the wood shop, those seconds count. And I don't want somebody to be standing there figuring out, do I need 4x4s? Do I need a tourniquet? Do I need bandaging? So we have these go bags now, which are tagged for specific types of emergency. And we'll get into those specific bags here in just a second. But you see we have a bleed control, a contusion fracture bag, and a generic medical bag. Each of those is stocked with supplies for that particular type of emergency. So you can just at a glance go, grab the bag, and run back to whoever needs help without having to stand there and think about what you need. Additionally, in the primary first aid kit and the blacksmithing first aid kit, we have the convenience supplies on the left. Those convenience supplies are just for typical issues. You cut your finger, you have a headache, you got some indigestion, whatever. And the thought here is that when you're working with dangerous tools, with spinning blades and things like that, you don't want the distraction that may come from having a headache or having an upset tummy or whatever. So I want somebody to be able to handle those minor situations so they don't become major situations. So there will be, currently there are no labels in the kit, in the convenience side for what everything is, but there will be shortly. But just as a quick overview right here, we have, aspirin, acetaminophen, ibuprofen, antacid. We've got eye drops, we've got a cold pack, we've got a hot pack, alcohol wipes, Band-Aids, antibiotic, hydrocortisone, pretty much anything you could need to just run and grab. On the emergency bags, as I mentioned, we have the 3 go bags. We've got a bleeding control bag, a contusion fracture bag, and a generic medical bag, as well as a body fluid cleanup kit because nobody wants a bloody mop in a bad situation. There's also now a blood pressure cuff and a pulse ox. I do ask that those do not leave this building. And if you use them, put them back when you're done with them. I don't want them wandering off. We do have a SAM splint, which is a quick and easy splint for if you have like a broken or sprained arm or something like that. It's a roll of a foam that's got a metal foil inside of it that you can mold to whatever shape you need. So if you need to like brace somebody's arm, you can make a little cup out of it and then bandage their arm to it. Yes, so there's that. For the bleeding control bag, it contains everything you're going to need to handle a bleeding emergency. So we're going to have the standard medical tape, gauze sponges, an abdominal pad, antiseptic liquid. There is a tourniquet in that. It's a standard windlass tourniquet is in that bag. It's very easy to apply. Put it as high up on the limb as you can. Pull it tight and twist it until they yell. There's also some quick clot, cling wrap, zip closures, pretty much anything you would need to handle a bleeding emergency. As for the fracture and contusion bag, it's also going to have some of the same stuff. It's going to have the medical tape, but it's also going to have things like finger splints, an ACE wrap, another SAM splint inside it, gauze sponges, a cold pack so you can ice over like a little bump on the head or whatever. Yeah. And then in the generic medical bag, this is for issues that aren't trauma related. This is somebody's overheated, somebody's having a heart attack, somebody's, blood sugar has bottomed out, something like that. So in this one, we're going to have some aspirin for heart attack emergencies, a cold pack, a hot pack, an emesis bag, which is the kind of vomit bag you see at a hospital, like the little blue bags that you unroll. There's going to be some oral hydration mix in there. It's basically you add it to it's powdered Gatorade. You add it to water, and it's for it's for dehydration and overheating emergencies. There is some glucose gel. You've got a CPR pocket mask and some Narcan for opioid overdose emergencies. Very easy to use. There's directions. There's a little direction card in there for how to administer it. As for the forge and foundry area, the idea with the go bags was that there's a lot of space that primary first aid kit has to cover in this building. So with the foundry and the forge area, however, everything is right there, and it's not that big of a concern for people to be having to be running back and forth. So for the blacksmithing area, I opted to have everything in the open so that you can just grab it, or you can turn and look and see what's there. Leave the kit open, see what's there, and you can just grab whatever you need from it. Just like the primary first aid kit, it is split into, for the most part, convenience and emergency, with the left side being mostly convenience. The difference here is that the glucose gel, the oral hydration mix, the bleed stop, those are in the open now instead of being embedded in a kit. As you can see here, again, this will be getting labels later, but this has all the same stuff in it. Your Band-Aids, aspirin, ibuprofen, antacid, antibiotic ointment, all of that stuff. And then on the right side is our emergency supplies. So this is where you're going to have all your medical tape, your tourniquet, your finger splints, your pressure dressings, all of that. So that's that. This project has actually been going for a couple months now, and Nada was absolutely indispensable in this, so everybody clap for her.
Something
Oh, yes, everything is individually packaged. There's no more gross shared tube of Neosporin or anything like that. Everything is individual tear open packets. The aspirin, ibuprofen, antacid, all of the little creams and ointments, they're all individual packs now. Additionally, one other thing I forgot to mention, if we go back to the go bags, and let me see, you can kind of see it here. Can I zoom in? I cannot zoom in. So if you look right here, you can't see my pointer. Can I click? No, I can't click. Can I make a note? All right. Okay, so I'm just going to do it this way. So I have a ruler here. I'm going to point at the screen. You see this little orange tag right here? All 3 of the bags are sealed and tagged. This is not to dissuade you from using the bag. This is just so we can at a glance see if anything has been used out of the bag. To open this, I thought about grabbing one and forgot to, but all you're going to do is put your fingers in the loop and pull. It'll tear right open. Don't hesitate to break a seal on a bag if you need to. That's just there, like I said, so I can verify at a glance that everything is in the bag and everything is still in date. So, any questions? Yeah.
Amazing setup, amazing. Is there anything for allergy, like Benadryl, or, I don't think EpiPen would be anything, but is there anything for allergy?
We toyed with that, but in the end, we decided not to go with the allergy medication.
Okay, I just wasn't sure, I was glancing through it. And just
There are, so these are actually Refresh brand eye drops. So if those will help you, you're welcome to them. Just grab one.
The reason we chose, or I rather chose not to include anything like Benadryl is because primary care providers and specialists are moving away from Benadryl for allergy relief because of the type of antihistamine that it is and because of side effects that it can cause. So since I just recently became a nurse, I told him that I didn't think that it was in our best interest to include anything allergy related, but if anybody brought up a concern, then we could maybe put it to a vote and see if that is something that people do want. And if we do include it, it would be something non-drowsy, definitely not Benadryl. And we can't include EpiPens because that is a prescription issue. So.
And they're like $900 a piece. There's that.
that was the only thing I'm like, sorry, I'm stop it. I just wanted to check. But that's good, great idea. Great to know that that's, yeah.
Oh yeah, in tangentially related news, Nada has passed her nursing exam. She is officially a licensed registered nurse. You're welcome. Isaac, did you have something?
I just wanted you to speak to at what level of incident or what level of consumption of goods would you like us to report to you?
So if you have to break into a go bag, shoot me a message. Get me on Mattermost. Also, you could text me. My phone number is on on both of the primary emergency kits and on the czars board out there. You can message me on Mattermost at Adam_Williams, or you can post in the first aid channel on Mattermost. I have that set to notify me anytime anything is posted. Other than that, if you take something from one of the convenience sides and you notice that there's only 1 or 2 left, just shoot me a message and let me know so I can restock it. But if you need something, take it. That's what it's there for.
There's also a little list in the back of each of those kits that tells what's in there. So maybe people could mark what's been used and let you know. So
Well, let's just say if the seal's broken, that's my cue to restock it. I do have checkoff sheets for each of the bags to check off items that are in it and everything. That's what she's referring to. Anything else? Oh, yes.
As a preliminary, you can just print these slides and post them next to it, rather than having to individually label all of the different. Make it easy. This is easy to follow to see what you're looking for.
Yeah. Well, so the way the first aid kit is constructed, each of those little pockets has a little slot in front of it where you can slide like an ID card into it. And I have a Cricut in spare time, so that's what my plan was going to be. Yes.
were you going to teach me first aid classes or anything? Because I thought you guys mentioned that in the meeting.
We are planning for first aid classes. Right now, that's still in the planning phase because there's a lot that goes into it. So, I mean, I could throw something together and be like, here's how you use this stuff, but I'm not a licensed first aid instructor. So,
CPR and
yeah,
defibrillator and stuff.
it is something that we're working on. The problem here is that in order to teach those and have you legally protected in the event you have to use that, we have to have a licensed instructor, and licensed instructors are expensive.
And there's so many other places you can go to have it, to go get certified anyway.
Yeah. So it is something we're planning. Nada has volunteered to learn, to get the certification to become a first aid instructor, which might be news to her, but no. Yeah, so she's planning to do that, but we're still early phases. So this probably is going to be late this year at the soonest, because there's a lot that goes into that.
You might be able to do like a partnership with someone that already teaches it, and then give us like a discount, like Knox Makers will give a discount for learning CPR and
Yeah.
defibrillator or something like that.
So I actually have a guy. So so Nada and I are both former Blount County Rescue Squad, and we have a guy on the squad who did our CPR certifications, and he's offered to help us with it, but he still charges $65 a head, even with the discount, which is more than our classes typically are. So that's something we're trying to figure out how we're going to work out if we go that direction. Yep.
All right. Thank you all. You all have clearly put a lot of thought and work into that, and we all get to benefit from it.
This is mine.
All right, that's the end of our show and share section. We have, as far as classes go, most of them are sold out, sorry, but we do have a few. Tonight, after show and share, there is a new members onboarding. If you haven't done that before, it is a requirement for membership. Everyone has to do it in order to become a full member. If you haven't done that before, please go to one. We do them twice a month, I think. Usually once on a Tuesday and then once on another night of the week. But there is one after show and share tonight. So after show and share, we'll break. If you want to come to show and share, stay in here or come back in here shortly after. On Saturday, there's an intro to the silhouette class. These are classes that still have a ticket at least. There's an intro to silhouette class and a machining 100 class. Surprisingly, there was at least one ticket to those last I checked. Next Tuesday after show and share, we're having a talk called Make Food from Dirt. I'm not sure who's doing that one.
Sounds like Joe.
Sam's doing that? Oh, sweet. So that will be a talk after our show and share next week. Then next Saturday is the Stitch and Bitch. That's a social time in the fiber arts class. And then in between all that, there's 8 sold out classes. So sorry. A few announcements. I just want to plug my.knoxmakers.org. If you have not logged into it, please log into it and look. That's a place for you to log in and see your profile of any events you've been involved in, your membership statistics, and your authorizations and OOPS tickets and things like that. We've put a lot of work into getting that up and going, and I need you all to log in once so I can tie you to other things. Yeah, my.knoxmakers.org. Yeah, if you go to that, you can log in using the same account you log into Mattermost and all that. And I need everybody to log in so I can tie you to other things. Also, Mark Best is going to do a get-together for everyone who's interested in working on getting the CNC plasma up and going, right? They're going to meet in the machining zone near the CNC plasma, talk about the logistics of what's next. So if you are interested in getting involved with that, meet Mark Best back there after show and share. All right. I think that's it. So we're going to conclude tonight's show and share and go, yes?
I have an announcement. I just want to tell you that the Emporium on Gate Street has an incredible wood turning display right now. I just looked at it, it's incredible. And they also have quilts in the bottom level. It's quilts, beautiful quilts everywhere.
Okay. All right. So that concludes tonight's show and share. We're going to go out in the workshop and play around.